Flipping condos has become a popular strategy even for first-time investors. Many have made a lot of money using this strategy. So how does flipping condos work? And what are the things you have to consider in order to maximize your rewards and minimize your costs and risks? Let's find out. I'm Edric Maguan, and this is The Real Deal. Over the past 10 years, real estate prices in the Philippines have been rapidly growing. Given that some of the best condos have doubled in value in just 5 to 7 years, many have been taking advantage by investing and then selling their property at a huge profit soon after. In more technical language, flipping in real estate refers to purchasing a property and holding it for a very short period of time, then selling it for a profit, rather than holding it for long-term capital appreciation and rental income. In the Philippines, there are two general ways of flipping a property. The first one is the fix and flip, where you buy an old distressed property, fix it up, and sell it at a huge profit. The second one is yung tinatawag nating PASALO, or when you buy a pre-selling property and sell it prior to turnover. In this case, sasaluhin ng buyer ang balance to the developer. Kaya siya tinatawag na PASALO. And yes, with either flipping strategy, you can make a huge profit. So how do you make money by flipping properties? While I will delve deeper into the latter flipping strategy, which is the simpler one of the two, I will discuss the fix and flip briefly. For the fix and flip, you earn in two ways. First, by buying below market value properties, or taking advantage of what is called discounted equity. With this alone, you already have some equity built up, giving you potential profit. Then you further increase your profit by adding value to the property through renovation and rehabilitation. Usually, we think of appreciation as the increase in value of the property through various market forces. Pero pwede mo rin increase ang value ng property through renovation and rehabilitation. And this is called forced appreciation. For example, you bought an old property worth 5 million pesos for only 4 million, giving you a discounted equity of 1 million. Then you decide to give your property a modern, stylish look and experience for a total cost of 500,000 pesos and sell it for 6 million. This means that you were able to generate a forced appreciation of 500,000 from the renovation. In total, you get a profit of 1.5 million. This flipping strategy is very quick. Usually, the whole process of purchasing the property to rehabilitating to selling takes less than a year. This, however, requires a lot of skill and work. Not to mention a lot of capital upfront. You need to spend a lot of time analyzing hundreds of properties just to find the right property. Then you have more work to do in terms of rehabilitating the property. There are a lot of risks involved if you do not have the necessary skills in analyzing the properties and planning and executing the renovation. So if you plan to pursue this strategy, be sure you have the necessary skills and are willing to put in hundreds of hours of work. If done well, you can make a huge amount of money in a very short period of time. Before we move on to the second flipping strategy, if you find this content helpful, hit the like button. As I mentioned earlier, the second flipping strategy ay yung tinatawag nating PASALO, or when you buy a pre-selling property, most commonly done for condos, and sell it prior to turnover. How does this work? When you reserve a condo unit, you are locking in your contract price with the developer. Any price increase or market value increase is already for your benefit the moment you reserve. In other words, this strategy takes advantage of rapidly increasing real estate prices, which will be the source of your profit. For example, you reserve a pre-selling property worth 6 million pesos. A few years later, before turnover, it is now worth 8 million. This means you have a capital gain of 2 million. While this sounds very simple, there are several strategies you should employ and parameters you should look at in order to maximize your rewards. Strategy number 1, the first mover advantage. The first mover advantage is when you buy the property at its lowest possible price offered by the developer, or what we call the primary market, during the early stages of its pre-selling term. Dahil dito, locked in na ang total contract price mo. Any increase in value of the property will go to you. Investing at the lowest possible price also means that you have the advantage versus those who invested later at a higher price. They will not have as much flexibility to negotiate price with the buyer. As a result, you'll be able to maximize your capital gains from the moment you reserve your unit. The first mover advantage is something I talked about in detail in another video. Check it out. Strategy number 2. Get the lowest payment term. Not necessarily because this is the only option you can afford, but because you want to be more efficient with your money. These days, many reputable developers offer no spot cash down payment terms, and even lower the overall down payment you have to pay over the pre-selling period. This is a great way to lock in your total contract price at a relatively low cash investment over the entire pre-selling period. So using the example earlier, where you reserved a unit at 6 million pesos, and prior to turnover, the market value of the property is now 8 million. If you sell, you have a capital gain of 2 million, whether 15%, 30%, or 100% na ng contract price ang nabayaran mo. Therefore, with the lower cash investment for the same gain, you are more efficient with your money. Let's show two scenarios: 30% down payment and 15% down payment over the pre-selling period. Under the 30% DP, you have paid a total of 1.8 million today, giving you a 111% return on investment or ROI. However, under the 15% DP, you have paid a total of only 900,000, increasing your ROI to 222%. Now that's making your money work harder for you. So instead of investing all your money in one property or putting all your eggs in one basket, you can choose the lowest payment term and invest the money you freed up into something else, such as another pre-selling property, potentially doubling your gains. Strategy number 3. Invest in areas or developments with strong future demand. Dapat pag mag-invest ka in a property with the intent to sell it at PASALO, you should be able to imagine that it will have a strong demand in the coming years. As demand grows for a certain area, so will the number of people who will seek to purchase properties there. Dahil dito, tataas ang value ng property mo. With this, you should look if the development and the area has strong fundamentals, meaning there are numerous ongoing and planned infrastructure, commercial, and office developments. These are called high growth potential areas. If you want to know which properties have high growth potential, schedule a free consultation with me or message me via the link in the description. Strategy number 4. Start offering your unit when the development is almost sold out. While the previous parameter looks at how the demand will probably look like in the next few years, you should also consider the supply side. Both the demand side and the supply side have an impact on the market price, which in turn will affect your profit. If you invested in a high growth potential property, you can expect that by the time the property is nearing completion, most, if not all the units would be sold already. This gives you an advantage, as there will be a limited supply available in the market for your property. The less options available for a potential buyer, the easier you are able to sell and at a higher price. Using these 4 strategies and parameters will help you earn more when selling Condo PASALO. In addition, having a strategy of selling Condo PASALO isn't quite as fast-paced as the fix and flip strategy. Most would flip their property right before turnover or around 3 to 4 years after they reserve. And it definitely requires a lot less work and money. All you have to do is invest in a high growth potential pre-selling condo and wait. As an example, I had a client who reserved their pre-selling condo unit in 2016 at the launch of the development. This gives him the first mover advantage. He also got the lowest payment term at that time to increase his ROI when he decided to sell. After 4 years, in 2020, when the development was already almost sold out, he was able to sell his unit quickly and at a 100% ROI. Now that's the power of combining all the strategies of selling Condo PASALO. But I also want to give you some things you have to consider before you choose to employ this strategy. First is the transaction costs. Pag magbebenta tayo ng Condo PASALO, there will also be transaction costs. Depende ito sa developer. Some may ask for hundreds of thousands in fees just to transfer the property to the new buyer. You also have to consider the services of a licensed broker to help you sell the unit and ensure that all the paperwork are in order. Second, where will you reinvest the proceeds once you've sold the property? Will the new investment realistically provide higher returns versus just keeping the property long-term? Third, selling the property means you have more work to do now. You will have to look for and study your new investment options that will give you higher returns. But certainly, the worst thing you can do after selling the property is to spend the proceeds on expensive items that you really don't need. Fourth, You should always be prepared to hold the property long term in case you can't sell it prior to turnover. Yes, you've planned on selling the property prior to turnover, but not having a plan B in case that doesn't work out will put you in a terrible position. Remember that always maintaining control is essential in real estate investing. Ikaw dapat nagko-control ng selling terms. You should never put yourself in a position where you feel you are forced to sell your property and agree to terms you would not normally go with. Dito nangyayari ang mga nagbebenta ng padugi or at a loss. This is especially important if you are going for the lowest payment terms. While it is great when selling prior to turnover, also consider that a lower down payment means a bigger loan and a bigger monthly amortization. So keep that in mind and make sure you have planned to cover this long term. Flipping can definitely make you a lot of money. The questions and watch outs that I presented are just some of the things I consider when choosing my investment strategy. Personally, as an investor, I look more into building and growing my real estate portfolio, earning passive income while enjoying the compounding effect of long-term capital appreciation. As long as you know what you're doing, whether it's flipping or long-term investing, one thing is clear: you can earn millions in real estate investing. Thank you for watching. If you want to inquire about the pre-selling developments that I offer, you may get sample computations or sign up for a free consultation by visiting my website or by messaging me on my social media. I'm an accredited broker of the country's most trusted developers. And if you want to learn more about real estate investing, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other video. Let's get rich and financially free, one property at a time.